Which takes me to our topic for today. And the topic that you broke down was the emotional intelligence of an anti-fragile entrepreneur.
That is brilliant advice that almost nobody will take, but the ones that do will win. How long did it take you to learn that?
Dude,
that's some wisdom right there, man. Really.
Honestly,
it's subtle.
30 years.
Exactly. Hey, where'd Rafael go?
Fam, what's up? Welcome back to the CEO Pulse podcast, where you get the real, the raw, and the mind of entrepreneurship on another amazing episode of the Mindset Monday series with my co-host, Justin, the man.
Thank you.
The myth, the legend, Thorstad.
Man, did you work on that one? That was great. Thank you.
I know, I'm feeling amped up. I'm feeling like an anti-fragile entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Yes. Which takes me to our topic for today. You actually just did a talk to hundreds of people about this topic. And just as context, right? We don't just sit around on two couches and talk to each other. We go out there and actually have conversations with the real world, with real peoples. Yeah. But you had, you had an amazing event come up, and you presented in front of a lot of entrepreneurs. And the topic that you broke down was the emotional intelligence of an anti-fragile entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a lot to unpack there. And I mean, I think just by the title itself, you're describing, us on a day-to-day,
yeah,
and I think getting to that point where you're anti-fragile, sometimes it takes, and I absolutely want to, unpack your perspective on it, because I think you have a lot more insight on this particular context, but I think it takes, years and years and years of trial and error, right? And tribulations to go through to create that, you build that skin where you become anti-fragile. But it doesn't mean that you have to be an asshole about everything that you're doing.
Absolutely not.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's unpack that. Talk to me about it.
Sure. Well, first and foremost, again, emotional intelligence. So it's really just a level of self-awareness. So there's 5 elements to emotional intelligence, and one is self-awareness, right? And so sometimes we can be looking at, let me back up a little bit. The reason for this topic was because this association wanted to bring some benefit to their members because they were getting feedback that they were experiencing a tremendous amount of burnout in their locations. And so, a lot of weight they're taking on, a lot of stress daily, taking the work home, on call 24 hours. Like, it's just a lot day in, day out. And, I look at the situation as perhaps in their emotional intelligence, there was some biased perspective, some misconception, a misidentification of their situation. Like, for example, if you look at a situation where, let's say you have employees, right? You're an entrepreneur. Okay, unless you're a party of one, but most people have employees. Okay, so do you ever have staffing issues? Whether the employees have issues, or there's a shortage, or you can't find qualified people, like whatever it is, there's challenges at times, right?
Right.
So you don't go victim to the circumstance. I mean, that'd be weird. Like,
you can't.
You don't complain about it, right?
Yeah.
You do something about it. You respond, and you adjust and you adapt and you pivot and you find solutions. You're resourceful. So it's like burnout comes from like taking on emotional baggage that's unnecessary, right? Like taking on water in a ship. Like that's not going to bode well for you. And so it's really about reframing the way you look at a situation, the circumstances. And am I a victim here? Like, I have no control over this? Or do I have the ability to respond? Am I responsible? So not fault or blame. Like, maybe you're not at fault for having a staffing shortage, let's say.
Yeah.
But you have the ability to respond. So you're responsible for that, right? Like, as a result.
Yeah.
And so what's the solution? Because if you're not part of the solution, you are the problem.
Well, I think we have to be, solution oriented first and foremost, totally. Right? Mm-hmm. And that's really how we begin. We begin, you launch yourself into entrepreneurship or start a business, and I mean, think about the reason why you're doing that. You are solving a problem, and I'm not talking 2 layers in. of I'm going to solve the problem of, I don't know, plumbing if you become a plumber, right? You're solving your own problem, your own financial debacle. I mean, because most of the time it's what gets people into it. It's like, oh, I want to bet on myself. I want to improve my life, right? It's hardly ever that we begin with the idea of passion, right? As a catalyst for entrepreneurship. Like, you just want something better, something bigger. You want to level up your life. You want to live, a better life. And it's like, cool, I'm going to bet on myself. It's usually what I see in terms of like the real fuel that ignites, right? It's almost that survival state that gets you, to make the leap or take the leap from one space to the other. Passion has its place on that, but normally the driving force is going to be, that problem solving is like, all right, cool. I got a financial problem. I see a gap here. So we begin, very, I'll speak for myself on this, in a very kind of selfish way, right? It's like, all right, I'm going to fix my problem.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of the times I think it's like the technician, sees like the company's making a lot of money and they're the ones generating it. It's like, I can do it better than my manager who doesn't even know my role. You know what I mean? So they go out on their own. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have those segues into it, but at the end of the day, you have that solution-based mentality that you have to tap into. So this context about the anti-fragile, right, entrepreneur. Let's dive a little deeper, because you do have a very interesting definition of that. So what creates or how does one become an anti-fragile entrepreneur?
Yeah. So, I was doing my research and so forth, and resilience is a buzzword that comes up a lot, right? Yeah. There's all kinds of books on it, and it's a great concept, right? Resilience is the ability basically to withstand and, weather the storm, so to speak, or elasticity, the ability to be pushed back, so to speak, and then come back to your original state. And I thought, well, that kind of sucks. I mean, because what set you back so much? What moved you from your state, your position, whatever it is, in such a way that now you have to go back to just baseline, right? Like that doesn't sound like the highest and best that's available. And it's certainly not how I like to operate. In fact, there was a book I read when I was like 18, A Setback is a Setup for a Comeback. And, it's a good concept in theory and kind of rah-rah, which is great, but there's got to be something better. Yeah. And so I came across the concept of anti-fragile. And I was like, yes, that's accurate. Like, if you take your kids, right, and let's say they're learning how to ride a bike, and they're riding their bike, and inevitably they crash, and they get scraped up and whatever, and they cry, and you encourage the kid to get back on the bike, right? I mean, if the kid fell off the bike and you never encouraged him to get back on the bike, they'd never learn how to ride a bike. Right. Like, so making mistakes and falling and failing, so to speak, is necessary. It's part of the process. It develops something within you. Do you know what I mean? Like the caterpillar turning into the butterfly. It's got to go into a cocoon. And if you try to cut out the butterfly before it's ready, it'll die because it didn't develop itself. So anti-fragile is basically the same concept. It's when you're met with adversity, chaos, disorder, any kind of resistance, that's the necessary catalyst, the environment that's required in order for you to alchemize, so to speak, that resistance into something that makes you better. So you're more equipped. You can withstand a storm. That's not even an issue because it causes you to rise above. And without that dynamic, those conditions, those circumstances, well, you can be pushed around by them, or you can look at them and find the opportunities to get ahead and grow and become better.
So I have I don't know, I guess I have a question on that, right? You're talking, for example, about elasticity and coming back to a point after, or like a rebound, right? Like kind of rebounding from a setback. And in my head, the imagery goes, I'm here and I make progress, and then something knocks me back and I'm here, right? And I'm back at square one. What about the evolution of the and I have my own thoughts on this too, but what's your take on the evolution of the emotional intelligence, right? Not necessarily because you're getting set back, but because you're moving, you're advancing, and then you have a whole new set of challenges, whole new set of thresholds, adversity, whatever that may be. And the emotional intelligence has to catch up to that. I don't know if I'm explaining myself right on this, but what about the strength required, to get to that space? Not necessarily going back to that same square one, although it may feel like it's square one, and the reason I bring that up because I feel like I've been there a bazillion times. It's like,
Yeah.
fuck, man, I'm back on square one.
Yeah.
But my square one right now is very different than my square one,
Right.
20 years ago, bro. You know what I mean? The square
Yeah.
one from 5 years ago, even the square one from a month ago. So I have to remind myself of that, right? And I think that comes connected and holds the hand of awareness.
Yeah.
So what's your take on that?
Sure, that's a great question. So there's 5 components or elements to emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
One is self-awareness, self-regulation, intrinsic motivation, empathy, and social skills. Okay, so the first 3 that I mentioned, those have to deal with you,
Yeah.
right? So the things you can control.
Right.
And so the strength to move forward, to like step into the unknown, that courage, right? If you think about it, what is courage? Like we kind of make that a virtue, and I believe it to be. But courage is the ability to act even when you're scared. It's to be scared and do it anyways, right? Okay, so strength, do you mean like emotional? Because I think a lot of our society really glorify this grind kind of mentality, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, listen, there's a time and place to put your head down and get your ass to work. Yeah. However, if you think about it, like maybe what makes it hard is the misidentification and the lack of self-awareness of like, of course I want to go do this. If I'm always playing around as an entrepreneur, doing things that I'm comfortable with, I'm comfortable with it because it's known, which means I've already had an experience of it. And then, therefore, my results are going to be predictable because nothing new is happening. So I have to go and interject myself or create situations, circumstances where I don't know what I'm doing and I'm out of my element. That's the only way for me to get new information and learn. So why not look at those kinds of things and get excited about it as opportunities to grow instead of like, oh no, I'm scared. Like, look, the results that we all want that are bigger and better that we've never had yet, they don't exist within that comfort zone.
Yeah.
And why do you even have a comfort zone? Like, aren't you always pushing those edges? Because I believe that's what life's all about. New experiences, new things. And, it's not all about getting stuff, being a successful entrepreneur. It's about the quality of your experience along the way. And how do you have a quality of experience if you're just doing the same thing day in, day out, like Groundhog's Day? Like, you got to look for those things, those opportunities, and go into the unknown.
I like that, and I absolutely agree too. Now, going back to for example the concept, right, of running the Groundhog Day. I think a lot of times we can be running, maybe progressing, right, and moving forward little by little, and not realize it because we're constant, we're in it. It's kind of like going to the gym every single day, and then you don't realize that you're actually making progress until you look at the pictures from like a month ago, right?
Sure.
So small incremental progress is easy to overlook, and if we don't plant a stake on like being proactively aware, right, of the progress that we're making on a daily basis, whether it be through feedback, through KPIs, through our own self, awareness sessions, like in the morning, and it's like, what happened yesterday? How did I move forward? Those are the little things that, in my personal experience, I mean, they've enforced my emotional intelligence, right?
You know what you just described in my definition? Success. That's why most people are not successful, because it's not sexy. It's the day in, the day out. Earl Nightingale, his definition of success was the progressive realization of a worthy ideal.
Yep.
So that means if you made 0.0001% progress today in realizing what you're after, you're a success. So success is not something you obtain or achieve. It's a state of being. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's forward movement. But people are so, I want to make $100 million. I want to make it yesterday. And they judge their results based on, what their eyeballs can see on their bank account. Instead of, okay, how did I develop myself today?
Yeah.
What scary thing did I go do? And what phone call did I make that I was putting off? And like, that's success, which is way different than achievement.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a misidentification, I think. It's just labeling things as they are or as they could be rather than the old dynamic train of thought that people have.
So let's roll that in, kind of package it up in a practical way, right? For the non-fragile entrepreneur or anti-fragile entrepreneur, which I thought when I because every morning, like I've said a million times, right? When we're going into the podcast, it's not like we script this. It's not like It's like, dude, what kind of mess?
Organic.
What kind of mess are you going through right now?
Yeah, exactly.
What kind of what's going on through your head? What awareness is? What happened last week that stuck with you, right? From a mindset standpoint. And you mentioned the presentation and the title of it. So the anti-fragile part was something that kind of it didn't throw me off. It's just like had me questioning. It was like, in what context? Is it a very like, oh, I got this, or is it I guess a place of inner strength?
Yeah. So the black T-shirt I usually wear like every single day,
like the one you're wearing right now.
No. This is a polo.
Oh,
yeah.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can't judge, bro.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to think about what I wear. Like it's such a formality. You know what I mean? Like it's just a shirt. So on the back of my JT seminars, it's #unfuckwithable. Right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of people misunderstand that too. It's not that nobody can fuck with me, I'm tough. No, it's a matter of my state, being consciously aware of self, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to have my permission for me to leave that state, that witness consciousness. And
that's so solid right there.
Dude, right? And so it's like, if I sit back in my seat of awareness and I'm there, not getting involved with my inner roommate, my mind, and what it says and all that noise, but if something happens in my reality unfolds, I don't like it, I'm in resistance to it. Okay. I have an opportunity. I can react, I can respond, or I can initiate something. And so it's about awareness. It's about being conscious, being aware of yourself moment by moment. And I'm not willing to leave this seat of awareness that's objective. I'm the observer. I'm witnessing things. So I can see them as they actually are instead of looking through a biased lens of how I am. Yeah. And so anti-fragile is basically that. Like, you're not going to break me, because I look forward to this situation that's unfolding in front of me as an opportunity for me to develop me.
Yeah.
So
it's your fuel.
You can't break me. You can't push me back. And, now I got to take 2 steps forward just to get back where I was. That's not happening. No matter what happens. Because if something's happening, and even if at first I'm in resistance to it, I don't like it, well, good. Because it's happening for my benefit. It has to be. And I know that because that's what's happening. Like, there's got to be something awesome about this. That's why it's happening for me. So it's just it's a perspective.
I like where this is going. I'm gonna throw a little bit of fire into that.
Sure.
Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face.
100%.
So let's say that we're going through it. You're hitting adversity, but we use it, and we do truly use it as fuel. It's like a lot of times it's problem solving. It's like we get excited about the issues and the stuff that's in front of me. The thing I feel like kind of wears me out is having adversity and the same shit over and over again. I hate to solve the same problem over and over again.
Well, did you solve it then?
And that's the thing. So, well, I mean, we're talking on transactional stuff, for example.
Okay.
Like paperwork stuff. Every transaction is different. You have the same, TC process. You have like that kind of stuff. Would just wear me out and eat my soul.
Oh yeah, forget it.
In 5 days.
Not doing it.
So it's that kind of stuff. And some people are built for it. Some people are not built for it. I'm not. But going back to it, like sometimes we'll get hit with adversity, and then you make progress, and then boom, you get hit again, and then you get hit again.
Sure.
You get hit. How do you deal? Because I feel like it's inevitable to have thoughts of fuck this, I'm gonna go do something else.
If you meet any successful entrepreneur
Yeah.
that has achieved a lot, and you ask them, have you ever thought about quitting?
Yeah.
And they say, no, they're full of shit.
Absolutely.
100%. Like, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
You have a mind. It's not going anywhere. You're never going to detach from it,
right.
Even if you had Christ consciousness, right? And so that thing never gives you good advice, is always thinking negative.
Yeah.
Like, of course you've thought of it. But at the same time, why are people still listening?
Yeah.
It's talking, but you don't have to engage with it. So it's a matter of, like, when that thought comes up, and I think for myself, some of the greatest successes that I'm most proud of, let's say, came at the time where I was getting ready to quit. And I consider myself someone that doesn't quit. However, that doesn't mean that I didn't want to at times, right? So when things are not going well, and, It's not like a hot knife through butter and on easy street, and I'm just getting punched in the face, jab after jab. I take a look at a couple things. One, this is like the selection criteria for success. Do you know what I mean? Like, of course you have to meet resistance.
I like that perspective, yeah.
Yeah, you got to meet resistance to see if you have what it takes to make it through. And of course you do. Like, we all have the same hardware, maybe different software, belief systems and whatnot. But if someone else has done it, I can too. Do you know what I'm saying? And hell, if someone hasn't done it before, well, there's got to be someone that's the first. Yeah. I mean, if I can conceive it and I can hold it in my head, man, I can get it done. And so I think that's a big element of it. Yeah, man. Move forward. Just go. Now, the other part of that is if I'm noticing a theme, let's say it's in a pipeline, right? Like people are just getting to the 11th hour or the 99-yard line, and then they're pulling out, let's say. And you're like, what is going on? Like deal after deal? Okay, that's me. There's something about me.
It's a different kind of fear. It's a very different kind of fear of success.
Why am I attracting this? Do you know what I'm saying?
Like, it's also real.
Every time I coach an entrepreneur, a realtor, a loan officer, it doesn't matter. I look at their pipeline because it's always a money problem, right? And I take a look at that and you notice a theme. And then it's really easy to correlate where in their lives are they showing up that way. Yeah. So part of it is attracting it. Part of it's happening because you're not seeing what the issue is, right? So it's giving you multiple opportunities to course correct and adjust and pivot, like look at it differently so you can approach it differently. And so that in and of itself would be a gift and happening for your benefit, right? Like, I think there's a higher power that loves you enough to give you an opportunity to grow. So here's another one, you know what I mean? And people are complaining about it, right? Like, I get punched again. No, you're trying to wake you up. Pay attention, So
there's things also that I think, keep us holding that faith, right? And sometimes it's going to be like the most minimal, the smallest things that keep you going. I have an example for that. But for example, when I launched my first business, I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I still feel like I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
Yeah. And so challenges every single day. Right. And I was, I moved from small town over to Phoenix and pretty much a restart with a revamp of the, not a revamp, but an amp of the business, building stuff out. And my grandmother knew that I was going through a lot. Just emotionally stress, heaviness, and everything. Her way of being with me, and she was a typical grandma, that prayed for everybody. She had, and so, but her way of just showing me that she was there with me. She would have this little light, just a light, a plugged-in light on the wall. And I went. She had it by her, in her room. She was like, "That's your light right there. I keep that light on for you. Always. It's always on." And it wasn't a candle, which makes sense because the candle's a little more dangerous, and she's like 90 years old, and I was like, all right, cool, that's pretty sharp. It's pretty smart having a light instead of a candle. You don't have to worry about easy maintenance, but it's not gone, right? The thought, the intention is there. So she had that light running, dude, and that light was running for years. I would go there and I was like, no, that's your light. I'm not turning that off. And I would get, and the reason I mention this is because we have to come up with our own emotional intelligence pillars, right? Or things that bring us back to that sense of strength, sense of belief.
Self-regulation.
When we don't have it within us and those, moments of weakness, I mean, sometimes we have to reach out there and grab it from somewhere else.
Yes.
If it's a book, it's a person, it's whatever. But I would think about that light. It was like, no, fuck no. I can't give up. I can't quit. My grandma's counting on me. She's got a light on.
She's got a light on.
You know what I mean? And however small it may be, it was a very real experience for me in my heart, in my faith.
Yeah, man.
And knowing, right, there's belief out there, and there's a way of doing this. I have to figure this out.
If you would have quit, that would have been so disrespectful to your grandma.
Absolutely.
Because she saw you as someone that, of course, is going to win. And who the hell are you to make her wrong?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So, and exactly. So it's not about, and of course it's not about the light, right? But it's about her belief behind
symbolic.
it. It's symbolic, and it's about her belief of me behind the entire thing and the faith, right? That as entrepreneurs, I think we get into all these spaces of tension and a high responsibility. Why? Because we signed up for it.
Yeah.
You were talking about the case where you have employees, you have problems and issues, and you're problem solving. Then you get set back, and you kind of bounce back to those. I mean, those are very real things, and they happen. I mean, I don't know, 8 or 10 times throughout the day, right? Like the little things that happen. Our teams don't see it. I mean, they don't see everything that we're going through. No. They see whatever is in their lane, for the most part.
It's a limited purview.
Exactly. So, I mean, they're going to be privy to a percentage of everything that we're going through when you're the head of your business. But the conversations are heavy. The responsibility definitely is, and you got to have a grip on that. You got to have ways of working out what gets you back in alignment.
So you just nailed it. Alignment. Okay, so I think a lot of people experience burnout and want to quit and all those kinds of negative things because of mission drift. Let me think about it. Like Viktor Frankl, that man was in 4 different concentration camps for over 3 years and just saw all kinds of people die all around him, right?
Yeah.
He had a reason to live. He assigned meaning to something that was so important that he had to make it through. And that's what he was teaching other people that he was in the camps with, right? Some listened, some didn't. But I mean, that's the whole premise of his book. Like, happiness is not something that you pursue. It's ensued when you're working towards like a worthy ideal, like something that has meaning, purpose behind it that you assigned, right? And it has to be something that's in contribution. So like you were saying about entrepreneurs, right? Like at first it's probably just going to solve your problem, money problem. But I think Entrepreneurship 101 is do something that's meaningful and purposeful to you and then find a way to monetize it.
I feel like it's our way of just, putting on the mask first.
Yeah, I think a lot of people start there, right?
Yeah, it's like, all right, cool. I'm gonna see this because it's a context, especially if it's a bootstrap business, which most are.
Yeah,
I mean, bootstrap businesses run the economy of the nation.
Way.
Yeah, and even though there's conglomerates and all that stuff, still the majority of the business is conducted by bootstrap, small mom and pop shop, type of stuff, which is an interesting stat, but we begin with that problem solving mentality and getting into it. One thing that I want to highlight is you were talking about permission. You were talking about like once you get out of your mental state or you get rocked by something, you're giving that something permission to throw you off.
Yeah.
This last week I was at the family mastermind and in Tampa. We had a lot of great presentations, great conversations throughout the week. There's Trevor Mock. If you've ever seen the website, especially for real estate investors, right? It started with real estate investors. Now he's opened up 2 different verticals and has a lot of things. But the creator of Carrot.com is Trevor Mock, and he's done amazing with his businesses, software, and everything in between. Yet his main, I feel like strength in my experience of him is not just the technical aspect of things; it's the mindset portion of it. And he was talking about the mental fortitude of an entrepreneur, right? Coming into it, in granting permission to the things around us, the things that take our peace, right? It's like, oh man, if I have this, I don't know, you're going through a financial problem and that rocks you, you're giving that problem permission to just,
That's the definition of a victim.
And exactly. You know what, and I don't know, like I've always had my egos, I've been open about it, right? Like the biggest battle I've had in my life, I feel it's been with my own ego.
Of course.
So when it's put in that context, like, man, I'm giving everything permission to just, fuck with me like all day long. It's just like, my ego takes over. Is like, I'm not going to give that permission.
I'm going to fight.
I'm going to fight.
What you resist persists.
So exactly. So there's a duality there, but I think it's a very good just way of looking at things, right? Even if it's a conversation, an interaction, you have a bad 2 minutes of a talk with somebody else, and you let that take over for the rest of it. You're giving that permission to take away your peace. And I think that's the one thing that we're working towards. We're working towards peace, financial peace, emotional peace, just, our own authenticity.
Yes, but people are waiting until that moment that they get the thing, experience something in order to have it. And then what's worse is they get it. because now they're afraid of losing it.
Yeah.
It's a misidentification. Here's the deal.
Yeah.
I usually draw this out for people. It's a victim responsible scale. It so really is an evolution in awareness. And on one side of the spectrum is victim. Now, that means that basically it's a scarcity mindset. It's based in fear. It's rooted in fear. You're powerless. So when something happens, it's happening to you. You have no control over it, right? So you're powerless. Conditions, circumstances, environments, situations happen, and they control your state.
Right.
You're powerless. Like, I would rather not live if that was the case. Like, now I'm not talking about, the actual victim, somebody was assaulted or something like that. I'm talking about everyday life and entrepreneurship and you name it, right? So on the other end of the spectrum is responsible, able to respond.
Yeah.
That's powerful. For example, when something happens that's undesirable, let's say, the market shifts overnight and you just lose everything. Okay, you're responsible for that. I was like, what are you talking about? It was the market. No, wrong. If anything external disrupts your state, that's victim. You have the ability to respond to what's happening. You get to take a look at, why am I in resistance to this? It was out of my control, but how I respond and what I do next is 100% within my control.
Facts.
How do I adjust? How do I adapt? What's the opportunity here? When the market crashes, people make billions. When the market goes up, people lose money. Like, it's not indicative of your success or failure, what the market's doing, because it's just a transfer of wealth. Did you see it coming? There were indicators. Are you paying attention? Are you mastering your craft? You know what I'm saying? Like, are you a student? Or are you, maybe you have some success and you're resting on your laurels and high on the hog, and all of a sudden you get taken out. You know what I mean? It's like, you were responsible for that. Why weren't you paying attention? And that's easy to do, not pay attention, especially when you have success.
I was having another convo with a really good friend of mine, and we were talking about being hungry. Right? Not in the literal sense, but being hungry in business and being, that tenacious on man, because you see when somebody, especially like when you're at a mastermind, you're having all these combos and interacting, right, on everybody's, different businesses, and just having, open and honest conversations all over the place. You see, man, like that hunger, I haven't felt that in a minute. Do you know what I mean?
Hungry people are always looking for opportunities. They're paying attention to everything.
Yeah,
there's value in that.
And you made the comment, like, resting on your laurels is like, that's exactly when you start getting, fulfilled a little bit, and it's like, all right, the hunger kind of, goes down. To me, it's scary when it becomes a habit.
Oh yeah,
right. At least at this stage in my life, I'm not saying I'm gonna be hungry my entire life, right, for business, but right now, at the space where I'm at, I'm definitely hungry.
Yeah,
and like that tenacity, that excitement of like, doing and creating and improving and tweaking and finding out new
feel
stuff.
Alive, man. Yeah,
it makes you feel alive, and it's, I don't know, it's I've asked myself also, like, for the sake of what, and the answer comes back to, for the sake of why the fuck not.
The way I look at it is like, when I've gotten complacent, high on the hog, so to speak, those have been some of the worst times in my life, because idle hands, man. Bad things happen, right? Like, it's just never a good thing. And then so, I become hungry again. So what I've learned to do is work with me and protect me from myself.
Right.
And so when I'm about 80% to goal, and I know it's inevitable, it's just a matter of, X, Y, and Z, it's going to unfold it. And I have faith and conviction that it's going to be, it's reset. What's next? But the cool thing is, when you're on that trajectory, the what's next, the reset goal, isn't because I need it. It's simply because I can. I believe that our soul, our spirit, is always for expansion and further expression.
Right.
And so if you're here to serve humanity and leave this place better than you found it, then what's next? Why the hell not?
Let me clarify something, or throw something in there, and correct me if this is something different than what you meant. But for example, when you're saying, and I do something similar, right? I get my point to, when I'm launching something or working on something or whatever, I get it to 80%. 80% is solid. I release it. I let it go. I let it operate. If it's an SOP, if it's a, whatever.
Plus, we're bored with it by 80%.
Yeah. So yeah, like, let it out. So
Yeah.
let it out. Let it do its thing. It's gonna come back to you through feedback, and then you can fine tune it and tweak it. And a lot of times it's not switching entirely, to a whole other thing. Like, not starting a whole new vertical. It may be some other leg of that same lane. So I say this so you don't feel the pressure, or you don't think that entrepreneurs out there are always like switching from one thing to the next to the next to the next. Sometimes sometimes you just have different lanes, different layers, different stages of whatever business you're working on.
Fortifying.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And you fortify one lane of it, and then now you're going to move on to fortifying the next thing, but it's still in the same vertical. So you can go deep on it. You don't have to be, shallow and broad.
Yeah.
And every single thing until you figure it out. And I feel like there's a time for that. But a lot of times it's not about going super broad and on things and shallow. It's about fine tuning and improving, doing more of what you're doing it better.
That's an excellent point, because going deep on it, if you think about it, that's foundational.
Yeah.
Right. Going broad and keep going broad and wide like that, that's less effective, I think, because you become like a floodlight. Yeah, you illuminate a lot, but it's not very effective at doing much, right? Versus like a laser that's focused, going deep. So it's more power. All
right, so to recap it and sign off here, great conversation, dude. I feel like this one, we can go on for hours on this. Give me the top 3 things that people have to keep in mind to become an effective anti-fragile entrepreneur.
I would say to keep in mind self-awareness. Anything and everything you can do to constantly.
I was gonna say that one.
Stupid. You took mine.
You took my self-awareness, eh?
So constantly be a student, reading books, listening to podcasts, surrounding yourself with your tribe, people that are always growing and developing, self-regulation. Like, interject yourself into situations that are scary, so to speak. I mean, what are you scared of anyways? And trigger your stuff, because then you get an opportunity to reframe that and let go of it so you don't get triggered by it anymore. You're not hanging on to the ammunition anymore. And your intrinsic motivator, like, for the sake of what? Why are you here? What are you doing? What's your contribution? What's your purpose? And you get to assign that. So I think focusing on those 3 things, my experience has been everything else tends to take care of itself.
Yeah, I like it. I'm gonna take it in a slightly different direction here. But I'm going to talk about not the coolest things, right? But I feel like number one is going to be to add on to what you just said, because I agree with all of them. I can't use them. I had to add, I had to come up with my own. I should have started this conversation. It's always easier when you start a list of things to say. But I would, go into discipline, right? Being disciplined, being okay with doing the mundane stuff, the stuff that's repetitive. Be okay with that part of it. It's not the sexy part, but it is the thing that gets you over to that next threshold. I did a self-analysis for a period of around 8 months, and I would just check myself. Like, every time I felt low, my energy was low, I felt sad, I felt pissed off, I would think about the trigger, right? So I mean, that goes back to self-awareness. But I understood that having the discipline to keep moving through, for example, having the discipline to show up the next morning, go to the gym, to actually pick up the phone and make the calls when I'm not feeling it.
Regulate yourself. Yeah.
Exactly. So that pushes me over to that emotional, state where I'm okay. I'm again, right? I'm okay again. So I go through this emotional loop where I feel good, and then you start to decline because of a challenge or whatever, and then you're at the bottom gutter over here. So the way to get across that is just to stay consistent. If you're losing track of your emotions, go to the mechanical and keep doing the mechanical until your emotions come back. I mean, that to me is a very, very legit solution.
That is brilliant advice that almost nobody will take, but the ones that do will win.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. So that would be one. I mean, that's my take on discipline, right? As an entrepreneur. The next one, it's going to be joy. Finding the joy in things. Finding the not necessarily I feel like purpose, can be a heavy thing. I've said it before, but finding the joy of the day to day, right? Joy in conversation, joy in interactions, joy in it doesn't have to be an utter success. Like, I feel like most of our days filled with moments of joy. But because it's not this big ticket item, like, oh, I just bought a big fucking car, right?
Yeah.
It's like we don't recognize them. Joy can be walking out of the office and nice weather hits you.
Smile at somebody.
Smile, open the door for somebody else, create a moment of joy. But, man, that I can't tell you, man. It's that to me was a learned behavior, or is a learned behavior.
Yeah.
Especially when you're moving and you're rushing through life.
Yeah.
Like, you're moving fast on everything that you do. It's easy to overlook, right, the moments of joy. And again, like I mentioned conversations, but it doesn't have to be even something like that. It can be some, I don't know, you're driving by a street and then you see a cool, sunset. You see a cool, whatever, right? I find a lot of joy in people watching, which is kind of weird too. But I love to just kind of, and this is the psychologist in me, but it's to identify, like, just acknowledge the intricacies. I will get it right eventually. This is like the toughest. This is like the toughest word I've ever said. I think the intricacies of people and individuality. That to me brings me joy, because it's like it just gives me a perspective of a whole different world with other people that everybody that I see. Right. So moments of joy. Identify those. Do not overlook them, and understand that they're the clearest beacon that we have. I think, like, one of the loudest identifiers that we have to know whether or not we're on the right track.
How long did it take you to learn that?
Dude.
That's some wisdom right there, man. Really, really.
Honestly,
it's subtle.
30 years.
Exactly. There's serenity and simplicity.
Yeah.
And in life, those little simplistic moments are some of the greatest.
Yeah.
I mean, your grandma with the light.
Dude, I'm telling you. It's
that's what life's all about, man. In my opinion.
And man, well, thank you for that. Now I think about that memory, and I feel like if that would have happened maybe 10 years earlier, I probably would have. Oh, it's just a light, and like, oh, that's
You're
nice.
Weird, grandma.
I would have walked away from my grandma's house, and not seen the depth of it.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
You know what I mean?
Things always happen when they're supposed to.
So that, and then the third one, to cap it off, stay curious. As entrepreneurs, we have to stay curious. We have to just I'm not saying not satisfied. I'm saying curious, right? The factor of what if, the factor of man, I'm living in this space of day-to-day activity, because the shit can get mundane real quick, right? Like all this noise here. But always have a sense of wonder. I think like we got to have a childlike wonder. In everything that we do, right? And in the way 100%. That we, especially when we contemplate, when we have our moment, in the morning, a moment of reflection, a moment to ourselves, like stay curious. Curiosity is really what's going to open up the path for you going forward.
It stimulates your imagination, which is the creative center. I mean, everything's created twice. Yeah. Well, first in the imagination. So I love that, man. Hey, where'd Rafael go?
He's going to be back in a little bit.
He's in the back. Yeah. That's great, man. Good. That's great advice.
Man, good conversation, brother.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
Justin, if somebody wants to get hold of you and have amazing talks with you like I do, where can they find you?
Yeah, justinthorstad.com. You can even book a free 30-minute discovery session or business strategy session. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and my cell phone, 602-348-8534.
Bam. All right. Do us a favor. Follow the podcast. Subscribe, share, like, send it to somebody who you think might benefit from it. And spread the love, right? It's a two-way street. Conversations, comments, and all that stuff. It's a two-way street on this. So also, if you want to follow me, if you don't want to follow me, it's okay too. Like, just follow me anyways. Go to my handles are Rafael Cortez, CEO on IG. Website is reawholesaling.com for mentorship and the rest of the stuff that I do. So with that being said, we'll catch you guys on the next one. Until then, stay focused. You got this. Let's go.
Nice.